So, welcome to the podcast. This is Daring to Differ with Annacky. It's a podcast where we embrace our uniqueness, we allow ourselves to think differently, and just live life according to what we want or according to what makes us happy, without putting people's expectations first, but rather dancing to our own recipes of life, meaning us designing our lives according to how we want it to be and believing in ourselves. So in the last episode, I spoke about how I navigated poverty and what made Annacky, or what made who I am today. And I spoke about me receiving the baton from my mom and running so much to ensure that my family escapes poverty. And in this episode, I really just want to touch base in terms of where I am today and how things are for me today. So thank you for joining again. Please do grab a cup of coffee, cup of water, and make yourself comfortable to indulge in this beautiful conversation. Yeah, so where am I today in my life? I would want to say that I live a very beautiful life and I have all the money that I wanted to have growing up, but that is actually not the case. That is not the story. But also, before maybe I get into it, I just want to echo, why is it so difficult for us to have these poverty related conversations? A lot of people in Namibia are living in poverty. A lot of us were affected by poverty directly, or we are still being affected by poverty directly and indirectly. Yet poverty conversations, at least for me, I noticed they are really just rare to find being conversated around, or where you find people in groups or friends talking about their hardship. I think most of our focus is on making it how we've arrived, the success, the cars we are driving, the houses we are buying, the clothes we are having or we are buying, etc. But for those that have been in the streets of poverty, can we normalize having these poverty conversations simply because we know we have our cousins, we have our brothers, we have our relatives that are still going through these poverty trenches. Given the landscape of Namibia, we still have a lot of people that are in poverty. We still have a lot of youth that are unemployed, meaning this poverty conversation will still be relevant for the next, I don't know how many years, 10, 20, 30 years. So only if we normalize having these conversations around poverty or how poverty affected us, we'll be able to give hope to the next person who is finding themselves in the same situation as us. If not only giving hope maybe, but we might just give them also techniques and tools to navigate their situation. We read a lot about rich people, about how rich people have made or have created their wealth. But do we have stories about the poor, how they are dancing to the tunes of poverty? Do we have stories about those that fought poverty and came out of poverty? Not only at a global scale, but at a national and community level. Are we having these conversations? Growing up in poverty, I wanted to hear to read or to listen to people that are of my descent, that are going through the same problems as I am going, but there were very few voices. And do we have few voices around those that are talking about poverty because poverty brings so much shame to us? Or are we scared to be vulnerable? Are we scared to be vulnerable? Are we scared to be seen in a certain lens for when we speak about our hardships, for when we speak about what poverty has done to us? And with this podcast, I created it to address some of these issues spot on or head on. Because these are conversations that stink. These are conversations that takes away our dignity. because that is what poverty has done to us. Poverty has taught us to be inferior. Poverty has taught us to be in a corner. Poverty has taught us not to have a voice. Indirectly. But us who chose differently, we are taking these teachings of poverty to change the trajectory of our lives, to change the trajectory of our families, to change the trajectory of our communities. We want to normalize these conversations and show that actually you can come from poverty and use those tools to become a better person, to become a person, a voice of hope, to be a voice of empowerment, to be a voice that shines the light to those that are struggling. You know, I don't know why this thing keeps moving. This mic keeps moving, but so I want to understand, how often do we have this poverty hardship conversations? This is particularly for the people like myself who have been through the most, who have been through the hardships of poverty, for the people who knows what it means to see your mom crying simply because she doesn't know what she's going to do tomorrow to make sure that you have food on the table. For those that have been chastened out of the classroom simply because they did not have their school fee paid. For those who did not know their parent, if not parents, simply because of the choices that their parents made at the time. For that child that is going to school from Oretoveni, walking to Karundu Primary School without shoes, without a lunchbox, and yet still expected to concentrate in class. Let's normalize having these conversations for our girls who are coming from Charakibes, going to Oretoveni, going to Karundu Primary School, going to Charakibes, going to school with that vision of becoming someone. And they get their period and they realize that they cannot even afford to buy pads, sanitary pads. Let us be the voice for those that are sleeping in a one-bedroom shack with the entire family. Their mother is there, their father is there, and their siblings are there. They are all sharing that one-bedroom shack. And they're fighting for survival. Let us create this conversation so that those that are affected by poverty are able to see that actually there is a way out. I wish I had someone speaking exactly as I'm speaking into this mic, growing up and hearing these conversations. Perhaps these conversations could have boosted my self-esteem maybe. They could have given me hope. They could have probably given me less time to get where I am today. But there's so many information out there about how rich people have made it. But we are not having these conversations of how poor people are navigating, you know. And this is the reason why I created this podcast. Let us dare to differ. People like myself who have come from nothing, I feel like it's our responsibility to make sure that we give back to those communities where we come from. And giving back does not necessarily need to come from a monetary point of view, but sometimes it's just through information, through awareness, you know. So I want us to normalize having these conversations. Let us not shy away from poverty conversations, because they make us, you know, they make us the reason why we are able to push through our careers, the reason why we're able to push in our different challenges that we're experiencing is because we have a blueprint of resilience. And that is what poverty taught us. That's why we cannot talk about who we are. Personally, I cannot talk about who I am without throwing in lines of poverty and hardship here and there, because that is what made me. That's what made me. And for the longest, poverty has been in my corner. It trained me. It's like I've been in training for I don't know how many years. And I came out stronger. And this training, I want to continue creating awareness about it and how it can also build strong people that will be able to turn around things, So poverty taught me that I don't give up. In whatever assignment that I'm given, I shouldn't give up. I should give it my best, because there's only one way out. If I slack, if I drop the ball, I'm going to go back to square one. This is what poverty has taught me. But also poverty took away from me, It took me 10 years, at least, to call my poverty situation a story of the past. To finally say that my family is living in I don't want to say prosperity, but if that's the word, then let us use the word prosperity. It took us 10 damn years. That's what poverty does. For 10 years, I'm now in my 30s. In my 20s, my vision was never a vision for Annacky. It was always a vision for my family. What is that I need to do to make sure that my family gets out of poverty? What do I need to pivot to make sure that I become relevant for the context at the time, to make sure that I got a job, I do the things that I'm supposed to be doing so that my family gets out of poverty? I needed to sacrifice. There's so many things that I needed to sacrifice as a young person, because I just felt that they were not important at the time. My eyes remained on getting my family out of poverty. My eyes were glued on running the race, because I had that baton from my mom, which is to take my family out of poverty. That was my vision. I remained focused. And it took me 10 damn years. Basically, my 20s, it was just me fighting for my family. 20s, early 30s. It was me fighting for my family. This is the reason why I don't compare myself to other people. Because my baseline is very different. I've always been a late bloomer. If you find yourself in a similar situation, can you please declare that today you stop comparing yourself to other people? Simply because your baseline is different. The things, your responsibilities, the things that you needed to do or that you are currently doing, they are different from what your peers are doing. And that is okay. Do not feel that like you are falling behind. Your baseline is different. Your why is different. I don't compare myself to other people because I know for sure my baseline is different. Other people are starting in their first year of their career, they are able to buy cars, luxury cars. But for some of us, that will never be a priority because of where we come from. We needed to prioritize. Are you buying a car, or you are fighting to ensure that your family move out from that ghetto to a proper establishment? We are able to soar through jobs that we don't like, through toxic environments that we don't like, simply because we have responsibilities to take care of. We did not have the option to just say, you know what, I'm done. I'm leaving this job today. Because we had responsibilities. We have our parents to feed. We have our children, our siblings to put in school. We can't just quit. We can't just give up. And this is the reason why we'll never compare ourselves to others. If you are comparing yourself to others, it means you have issues with your vision. A person who has a very clear vision for themselves, they will never compare themselves to others. That's what I did in my 20s. I was just carrying my family's vision. Now I'm in my 30s. Now, this is the pivotal moment in my life where I am taking my life seriously. By seriously, I'm saying I'm now bringing Annacky to the center of my life. It's not anymore my family at the center of my life. I'm not putting them at the center of my life because I've put in structures in place to help them help themselves, for them to be sustainable in whatever their daily life looks like. But I also don't want to forget about Annacky. I came on this earth with a purpose. I didn't come on earth to live on behalf of other people. I didn't come on earth to just continue executing people's visions. But I have my own God-given vision, which I'm now really just starting now to execute. I'm literally starting from scratch. I wish I was going to come in this episode and say that I have all the money that I wanted to have. But the reality is that if you come from poverty, our pace of running, our pace of getting things, unfortunately, the reality is true that we are always delayed. Because most of our time, we spend it undoing. We spend it breaking the poverty chains. We spend it rebuilding. So I'm in my 30s. I'm here. I'm literally now questioning, what is that Annacky wants to do? What is that Annacky wants to become? Who is that girl that she always wanted to be? Is time running out? I don't know, according to whose time frame. But this is where I am today. You know? And that is what poverty does to us. We become late bloomers. But there's really nothing I can do about it. But if there's something that poverty taught me, it taught me the art to be resilient, the art to focus, the art to build, the art to create. And I'm happy to be in my design phase. In my 30s now, I am designing a beautiful life according to my own vision, which I'm crafting. I'm designing a life that is unique, that is not similar to anybody. Because I am daring. I'm daring to differ. I'm daring to show up. I'm daring to do things differently. I'm sorry I'm ending here because my baby is crying. I wanted this to be long, but I'll have to end here and I'll continue. Thank you for tuning in. This is Daring to Differ with Annacky.